Hi, welcome to the Mohua Show. My name is Mohua Chinappa and I am an author, entrepreneur and ex-housewife. This podcast is about everything from business to technology to arts to lifestyle, but done and spoken ईमानदारी से. Hi, in today's episode, we have with us Radhika. Radhika is the founder of Radically Yours, a knowledge-sharing platform for new businesses and investment funds. Radhika is a policy advocate and a global connector who's been recognized as one of the top 25 most influential women leaders of Mumbai. With her vast network and expertise, she helps businesses bridge the gap between investors and investee companies worldwide. Welcome, Radhika, in today's episode. So, सबसे पहला सवाल, Radhika, जो मेरा होगा कि tell us a little bit about yourself, that what made you start Radically Yours?
Thanks for that crisp introduction. On my other shows or interviews, the introduction goes on, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know about myself also this much. But really, I love the way you introduced it and kept it simple. I think Radically Yours just started a few months back, and it's a passion based project. I'm very clear on the fact that I don't want to do it for my lifetime because it's about being a connector, and I started because there was a gaming company, a gaming founder who wanted some funds to grow his business. And because I was working in a law firm at that point in time, the partner had told me that you have a good following on LinkedIn. Why don't you check through your connections and try leveraging that to see if you can get him connected to some Silicon Valley based gaming funds? And I've always been fearless as a person, so I never thought that this is something that I can't do. And I happened to connect him with lots of investors, which even his investment banker couldn't do it. And I realized that the power of network always helps, and it doesn't come with either age or experience, but lots of consistency, as it compounds into an effect where you end up developing solid relationships. So that was a good first project for me. And then we had lots of other founders also come in and raise funding from us because we had a good success story with this gaming founder. And that's where I thought that why not institutionalize this and build it much bigger than just myself, just as an individual. And that's how Radically Yours came into existence. And right now we're building efforts towards financing more of women entrepreneurs and developing an ecosystem around women entrepreneurship, because we have so many of them in our country. It's just that they face so much of challenges and pitfalls that they're not able to come up as seamlessly as some of the male entrepreneurs do. And I feel that more regarding this topic, it's less of gender but more of the characteristics which are masculine and feminine. People with feminine qualities generally don't tend to make a very great entrepreneur, is what studies have said. So we try to see how we can balance both masculinity plus femininity and help women entrepreneurs succeed. So that's what the vision and mission of Radically Yours currently is.
You've spoken to my heart, Radhika. As a woman entrepreneur, I can surely tell you that it is extremely difficult to create an ecosystem around you, especially in the creative business, where people are willing to even pay you for the work that that they're going to give you. They think that it should come to you for free, and they are willing to overlook at the production cost. They are willing to overlook at the research, the time that you put in, because they think it's child's play. And I don't think the way people speak to me as a woman entrepreneur who's rebooted after many years, they would do the same thing with, a man who's in the business, So I mean, you've really, really spoken to my heart. I also want to know what inspired you to become involved in policy advocacy measures, and how has that impacted Radically Yours?
Yeah. So I'm actually very thankful to my mentor, who's this partner in the law firm. It was my first company, and I was their first hire right after my college. So, being a very integral part of their team, being a non lawyer, I have helped the law firm hire some of the best talent. and they're very close to me, everybody in the firm, and under the guidance of the partner, I've always been interested into investigative journalism. And is it lawyers always, they wear a hat which no other person does when it comes to investigation and digging out facts. So, and since I usually write stories on businesses and founders, they told me that you already have a knack for research and digging out facts which are not present in the public. You know how to carry out an investigation. So why don't you do that and speak about it through your voice on LinkedIn, where you have a good following? So did a couple of case studies where there were governance issues in some companies like Hinduja, and have spoken to people who were a part of SEBI, who actually do policy advocacy in their real life as a part of their job, to understand how it works and how I can be a part of it. So that's how it all began. And I used to actually, as a part of Radically Yours, churn out videos where I am talking about some issue in a company, and how, for example, the board of directors didn't perform to their fiduciary duties and have breached it in some way or the other. So, I mean, that was a phase where I was doing it full fledgedly, but I realized that this is more of my liking, which I'd like to keep it for a few hours of my day, not as a part of my life, because it's only when you do certain things you realize what's meant for you, what's not, in a full time basis. So I realized that it's good for me, but not so good that I would want to pursue it for my life. So I just did that for the time being, and I still do if it's required. uh, I still wouldn't mind doing it, but that's not what I'm doing currently as we speak.
It's extremely interesting, and for our listeners, actually, Radhika, most of us are looking for investors, especially when you start a business, you're always bootstrapped. Most of us are bootstrapped. So how do you, identify innovative business ideas that you think, can be adapted across the globe? And what challenges do businesses face in accessing global institutional capital? And how is it that Radically Yours helps them? If you could just share the steps, and, if you have listeners who are wanting to start a business of their own and yet they don't have the kind of funds that they would need, what do they need to do?
Yeah. So actually, we tell the founders to look at the root cause of it. It's not because the market is in the funding winter, as we call it, or there's a problem with their business. Sometimes, in the early stages, more so, the problem is with the founder themselves. They don't know how to pitch their stories. And I've spoken to so many investors, they've told me that founders sometimes just come and talk to us as if they are reading a script, and they forget that they need to initiate a conversation and try to build a relationship with the investor first as a person, and then talk about their business as if they were pitching to an investor. So I think that the softer skills sometimes goes missing. And when it comes to women entrepreneurs, or even male entrepreneurs for that matter, who have some feminine qualities, people have said that they can't pitch their businesses in a way that they can show a futuristic vision. Everybody speaks more on the lines of what they're doing presently, what the numbers are, but very few take that risk of saying that, okay, I will make this company 100 crore or 1,000 crore business in the next 5 years. And investors are always looking for that kind of risk takers, who can multiply their capital by not just 10x but 100x. So I think it all starts at the fundamentals of it, at the core of it. And that's why so many people around in this ecosystem say that entrepreneurship is not always meant for everyone. Sometimes it's okay that even if you want to pursue it with somebody who has this skill of being fearless, of projecting their business in a very ambitious way and taking it to that level after having promised that. So I think finding a right set of talent and co-founders is also very important in this ecosystem, and sometimes people fail to do that, and that's one of the reasons why they are not able to raise funds, because they're not able to get the investors confidence as to how will they reach what they're talking about. And I think once these two elements are sorted, which is your storytelling skills, and secondly your talent, who will help you build at a scale what you want, and then the investors just have to figure out how they can be a part of your growth story and take it ahead. But I think getting these two fundamentals also in place is a difficult task, and sometimes we've seen in cases where there's only a solo founder, the investors themselves suggest the co-founders that they might know in their network to come and join the business. But the data says that this kind of matchmaking hasn't been very successful, because you need to find your co-founder by yourself, and sometimes because of this story people just rely on investors to get them their co-founders. But if you do the groundwork by yourself and try to find out a partner, I think that works out very well, because it's just like a marriage. So you need to choose your partner before your family just tells you that, okay, this is the person you should marry. So I think these softer dynamics is what makes or breaks the funding path for any founder.
This is so enlightening. And I think softer skills is something that most people don't talk about, because softer skills is often ignored, in our language in India. And I think the world is now slowly waking up to networking, because it was also looked at as a very, very negative word, that this person is a networker. And I think that networking has helped me in life tremendously, because of having had a history of being in PR. It came naturally for me to network. And I think I've been able to come back to work after such a long gap because of the networking skills. So, we need to also ask you some of the emerging trends in the tech driven or enabled businesses that you have observed recently.
I think more and more the world is moving towards tech and tech related businesses. Even funds which were not focusing on tech have now started focusing there. Like, I know one of my friends I was talking to yesterday itself, he runs a Belgium based firm called World Invest here in India, and that is supposed to only focus on consumer. But given the pace at which technology is growing, especially in a country like India, he has opened an arm separately, which is now focusing on tech investments too. So I think you're seeing more VC funds come into this playground, and that is a result of more tech businesses coming in here. Now in tech also, if we drill it down, you have so many other sectors, but health tech is taking a huge leap in terms of diagnostics and introduction of AI in diagnostics. The other day only, I was talking to one of the funds, and they were telling me that they have not forayed into this space, but they would like for me to give them some research on how AI is helping, healthcare, and is making it much faster and efficient for all the stakeholders involved into the system. So I think you'll see some activity there in the healthcare space, and you will see how more innovations are coming in to save the patient's life, to even for that matter, I mean, increase the lifespan of a human being, because so many research and studies have been conducted around this. People are, backing data science a lot, because they feel that through data they can try to, manipulate with your genes and try to see how they can, cure some of the not so curable diseases. I mean, for Parkinson's, there's been something in the US that's come up. For cancer, also some kind of gene manipulation. Techniques have come out in the US. In India, we're still very far behind this, but it's catching up. Just that how US always has been 15, 20 years ahead of us. It has been so in healthcare too, but India is still catching up, and it's a glory to see so many institutional capital from abroad come and support Indian businesses, because they see some promise in our land. And that's one, healthcare. Second is fintech. Nobody in this world has done the scaling up of UPI in a way that we have, given that how big our country is in terms of population. Now it's the number one, having overtaken China as well. So and given that how India has most of the younger population around the world, and the middle class population is more and more increasing in our country, which means that the disposable incomes are rising, and people are getting more and more adopted to digital technologies because of better internet penetration and because of geo having come into our environment. So I think UPI is taking shape very well, and other countries are actually trying to adopt to our technology that we've made in India and try to do that abroad. So fintech is another player where you will see so many more startups come in. The third category and the most widespread is consumer. Because like I said, we have the most number of younger population in India, like more than 52% of it is under the age of 35. And as younger consumers, we want more choices, more preferences, and we are always open to trying newer things. We want to consume maybe a healthier brand which is tastier at the same time, or maybe for our skincare we want to move away from Dove, Nivea, or Santur for that matter, and try newer elements that have come into our country. So I think consumer space will take shape. It is already taking shape in a very bigger way. You might have seen Shark Tank. Most of the brands there were consumer, which are into D2C space, which is direct to consumer. And I was just reading some statistics by Inc. 42 lately, and they were also mentioning that how most of the VC funding has gone to the consumer segment in 2022, and after that it has gone into the fintech space. So your question was more on the tech side of it, but having answered that, I would also like to say that apart from tech, it's the consumer sector which will always see some growth and upsurge.
Fantastic, Radhika. Now, just tell me, how did you feel when you were recognized as one of the top 25 most influential women leaders of Mumbai in 2021 by the World Women Leadership Congress? वो feeling क्या हुई वो बताओ हमें.
Sometimes people think that how is it that you can get this award at this age, but all I tell them also is that never stop dreaming. I always dreamt of having myself on a pedestal, where people recognize me for my work and are able to, take something away from me. I'm able to give them some value. And it was not a surprise when I got it, because I have always envisioned that for myself. And as we say, whatever you throw into the universe, it throws back to you when you work towards it so consistently and put so many hours of effort behind it. And for me, I've always chosen LinkedIn as my highest priority. Like, be it whether I was studying in college or working as an intern or working as a full time professional, it was always on my mind. There would not be a single day that I would miss posting in those days, and I still try to keep that pace where I'm doing it every day. And I think when you are putting in so much of yourself into something, results are bound to come. So I think results for me don't excite me as much as the impact does. The way people write to me, that your content is so insightful that whenever we open up LinkedIn, your post comes up, and we are so excited to see what is it next that you will be writing on. So I think when I hear messages like that, that is a success for me, and not these accolades, because of course accolades are a source of recognition, and it's like everybody in masses are trying to appreciate your work in that one award frame, and it's very significant and meaningful. But when you get such individual messages on a platform where you started with almost nothing, I think that is when success for me, counts in real sense, and that's when I get the happiest.
How wonderful. My goodness, it's so amazing to hear you have such clarity of your vision. And I completely agree with you. It is the messages actually from people when they write to you, especially after I'd written my book, and those messages that came to me saying that this story had really, really impacted me. This is a story with which I felt very disturbed. I think that is the bigger, acknowledgement for the work that you put out together. So, we want to delve a little bit more and ask you, you were also TEDx speaker at the age of 21. How did that experience shape your career path? And for our listeners, there are many people who are, looking at starting their own business, getting onto the entrepreneurial journey. How does TEDx help them?
So I still remember that date was May 29, 2021, when I gave my first TEDx talk. And the night before that, I was extremely sick. I didn't know how would I be able to deliver a talk in the morning. But when I got up and gave that talk, I felt so energized and refreshed, that I knew that this is something what I want to do for life, talking to people, speaking about my experience or sharing some insights is something that really energizes me and I would want to do for my lifetime. So, like I told you, I always wanted to be in this position and, help people with my experiences. But at the same time, I always tell people that to be able to get to this position, you always need to be a keen observer, a curious person who wants to learn about everything and thinks that everything is their responsibility and not like somebody else should take their work, or it's their responsibility to do something. So I think I've always taken it to me as to whenever it came to learning from strangers, be it on the roadside or be it in the office of a CEO, I have always learned from each one. And I think when it comes to giving talk, it all reflects back. Whenever you try to be a keen learner of life, life also gives you rewards because you're trying to make it like your teacher. And whenever you try to please your teacher, something good or the other happens. So I think I just take life in that way. And for youngsters who would want to give TED talks, there are different ways to appear in a TED talk. One is by, of course, nominating yourself and filling up the speaker nominations. People are open to hearing your stories. They actually want you to tell them that, okay, this is what you have done and this is how you can help with your speech to other audiences. And lots of people get selected also, and they try to make their mark on stage. The second is that TEDx Gateway that I know in Bombay does an annual flagship event where they give about a minute's chance to the lucky winners to come and speak on their stage, which has an audience of about 1,000 people. And I remember my friend telling me that he wants to become a TEDx speaker one day. And he said that on the same stage itself. And today, recently, he gave a talk there too. So I think it's all about manifesting as well, that you want to be there and not leaving it up to the universe that, okay, I now have told the universe, let it happen in its own way. You also have to, work really hard towards it. But I fortunately or unfortunately didn't have to really put so much of efforts to get this talk because I was anyways putting efforts on my LinkedIn, and because of that they saw me and invited me. But of course I had to put effort somewhere. So I think for youngsters, if they want to do something, I would suggest that find your purpose. Unless you know what you're good at and what you want to do, people won't recognize you, because unless you recognize yourself and value yourself, the world won't value you. And I understood that in my college itself when I had nothing. I had no friends, and I've lost some of my friends also because I was so focused from the second year of my college that, okay, I want to build a name for myself and do something for myself in this life at a younger age. People wait till 30 or 40 years of their life to reach to a certain level, and they take it slowly. But I've always been very restless, and I've done many things at once, which always is not good, but it has really helped me because I was younger, and sometimes being young is your biggest trump card. You can experiment as much as you want to. So I think because of that experimentation, I got such opportunities. And for all those who are listening to this, I would just say that keep recognizing your skills and have mentors who will help you recognize your skills, because sometimes what you can't see they can, and they can guide you in the right way and the right path. And it's okay if you even make friends with bad people who don't wish good for you, or you sometimes don't understand who's right for you or who's wrong. It's fine, you only will learn from it, and the earlier you learn from it, the better it is. So always keep your eyes open and your heart open to everything. Don't stop yourself. And I think the world will be your oyster, and you can do so much.
What are your future plans for Radically Yours, and how do you see yourself making an impact in the industry? This is the last question, Radhika. I'm totally bowled over, listening to you, because you speak straight to my heart. And, all the hardships have always been lessons for me in life in this entire rebooting journey of mine. So just tell us a little bit about Radically Yours and what is it that you're looking forward?
I'm actually looking forward to building our efforts of women entrepreneurship, and it's named under WIPE, WIPE, which extends as Women in Private Equity and Enterprise. And we want to actually wipe out the norm that, industry can only be led by men, and they can only do some great work, or take tough decisions. And I'm currently interviewing lots of women investors and founders from India and abroad to learn from their perspectives about how they view the ecosystem. And I look forward to it every day, because some of the new stories come my way and I get to hear them. So that's something I'm looking forward to. And second is that we will be extending our chapters abroad also. So we already have one in the US where we are incorporated, and we'll be soon having one in Africa where our chapter heads will be leading some programs and initiatives in those countries to support women entrepreneurs there. So I'm very much looking for this initiative to become a global one where each one can get benefits from it.
I have only absolute surety that Radhika Bajoria is definitely going to take Radically Yours to places that even she can't fathom right now. Because while I'm speaking to you, I can hear the complete passion that you have and the knowledge and the wisdom. And you're so right that you say that age is just a number. We can find maturity in very young people and immature, very old people. Leaving with this thought that, for all of you who are listening to us right now, if you want to become an entrepreneur and you're looking at funding your business, especially for women entrepreneurs, you can get in touch with Radically Yours, and Radhika will lead the way for you for things to get easier. And thank you so much for being in today's episode, Radhika.
Thank you.
To you, our dearest listeners, you can find us on your favorite streaming services, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and of course on all other major streaming services. With loads of love, we are the Mohua Show, where we talk ईमानदारी से.